Okay, so hello everyone. I am Shrija Ghosh and I am a PMRF in IIT Kanpur. And today is the third week session, the problem solving session for the course Environmental Chemistry and Microbiology. The course instructors for this course are Professor Anjali Pal and Professor Sudha Goyal. So before starting this session, I'll just briefly go through the basic concepts that have been covered in the third week lectures by Professor Anjali Pal, and then we'll move to the questions. So I'll just go through the different formulas that have been discussed, so that you can use those formula to uh, see how to solve the questions in the coming assignment. Okay. So this is the problem solving session for the third week's assignment. Okay. So as you must have seen the lecture videos, uh, when a reactant goes to product, let's say A is the reactant and P is the product. So to determine the rate of this reaction, the speed at which the reaction is proceeding, it will be minus dCA by dt, where Ca is the concentration of A. Since the A is getting converted into P, the concentration of A is getting reduced and the concentration of P is getting increased. So either it will be dCP by dt with a positive sign, or it will be dCA by dt with a negative sign, since Ca is getting reduced. Okay. And it can also be written in the form K multiplied by Ca to the power n, where Ca is the concentration of A, K is the reaction rate constant. So reaction rate constant, this is different from the equilibrium constant that we discussed in the last class. So we have the rate as minus dCA by dt, which can also be written as K into Ca raised to the power of n, where Ca is the concentration of A and K is the reaction rate constant, n is the order of the reaction. So mainly the questions that were given in the third assignment and that we'll discuss in this session also, most of the questions are based on the order of the reaction. So if it's a zero order reaction, it will follow a different kind of kinetics. If it's a first order reaction, or if it's a second order reaction, it will follow a different kinetics. So depending on the order of the reaction, we will see how to solve different kinds of questions. So starting with the zero order reaction, the rate of zero order reaction, since now n is equal to 0, the rate will be written as K into Ca raised to the power of 0, and anything raised to the power of 0 is, as we know, it is equal to 1. So rate will be equal to the rate constant. That means the rate of this reaction is independent of the concentration of any of the reactants. Okay. So the rate is equal to the rate constant. It's a constant value. And if you integrate this equation, you will find C minus C0 is equal to minus KT. That means the plot between C versus T, it will give a linear plot. It will give a straight line. Okay. Similarly, for first order reaction, since n is equal to 1, rate will be equal to K into concentration of the reactant. And if you integrate that, you will get log C0 upon C is equal to KT. Natural log C0 upon C is equal to KT. If you plot a graph between log C versus T, you will find a linear plot in this case. If the reaction is first order reaction, log C versus T will be a linear plot. Similarly, for second order reaction, we will have the rate that is equal to K into Ca whole square. Since n is equal to 2, so we will replace the value of n here, and it will be K multiplied by Ca whole square. If you integrate this, you will find 1 upon C minus 1 upon C0 is equal to KT. So from this equation we will get the plot of 1 upon C versus T as a straight line plot, as a linear plot. Okay, so the main key things that we have to remember before solving the questions are the formulas of rate, are the rate equations for all the different zero order, first order and second order reactions, and which plot, for which order reaction we'll get the linear plot, we have to see. Like for zero order reaction, C versus T will give a linear plot. For first order reaction, log C versus T will give a linear plot, and for second order reaction, 1 upon C versus T will give a linear plot. Okay, so these are the key points that we have to remember before starting the questions. So now I'll proceed with the question. So question number 1. An experiment was conducted to find out the rate of a chemical reaction. The concentration of kg per liter, the concentration in terms of kg per liter, it was measured at different times, and the data were plotted as follows. So there is a graph given between 1 upon C versus time. Time is given in terms of days. Okay. So the order of reaction and the corresponding rate constant are, so we have to tell the order of the reaction and the corresponding rate constant. As you can see, it's a linear plot. The R square value is more than 0.9, so 0.99, so it is a linear plot. Now I have told you right now that a linear plot between 1 upon C versus T, which order reaction it is? Anybody? What will be the order of reaction?
Second order.
Yes, it will be second order reaction. Yes, it will be second order reaction. So in the options we see 2 options are given with the second order reaction. So next thing we have to see the rate constant. Now if you see the linear equation that is there for the plot, it is 1 upon C is equal to 0.0541 T plus 0.05. So this equation is similar to the rate equation for a second order reaction, which is 1 upon Ct is equal to Kt plus 1 upon C0. Okay. So if you compare this equation with the equation given in the plot, you will find K is equal to 0.0541. Okay. If you see here in the plot, K basically what the slope of the graph, that is the K, that is the reaction rate constant. So the rate constant is equal to 0.0541. Now if you see in the option C and D, both are given as 0.0541, but the units are different. So how will we see which is the correct unit for our rate constant? So every reaction rate constant for different orders, the unit is different. For a zero order reaction, the rate constant will have a different unit. First order reaction rate constant will have a different unit, and second order will have a different unit. Okay, but the unit of the reaction rate is same for all the reaction rate is always given as mass per unit volume per unit time. Okay, so mass, volume inverse and time inverse. So if you equate both the things, you will get the reaction rate constant, you will get the unit for the reaction rate constant. So for a second order reaction, if you see, yeah, for a second order reaction, if you see the sorry, yeah, for a second order reaction, if you see the rate is if you equate the rate with the rate constant, so the rate will be equal to K into concentration of the reactant to the power of 2. Okay. So I told you the unit for rate is mass per unit volume per unit time. That is, here the mass is given in terms of kg, volume is given in terms of liters, and time is given in terms of days. So kg per liter per day. Okay. This is equal to rate constant K multiplied by the concentration. Now concentration is given in terms of kg per liter. So kg per liter whole square. If you solve this, you will find the unit of K to be kg inverse multiplied by liter multiplied by day inverse. Okay. So if you see in the question, we have C and D both options with the second order reaction and the rate constant value to value as 0.0541, but the unit is different. So which unit is correct for the second order reaction? The last one, where the kg is an inverse. Basically it is per unit mass multiplied by volume multiplied by per unit time. Okay, kg inverse liter day inverse. Okay, I hope this question was clear. We'll move to the next question. So question number 2. The radioactive nuclide P32 has a half-life of 14.3 days. What fraction of the initial P32 will remain after 84 days? Radioactive disintegration follows first order kinetics. So in the first order kinetics, I have told you the rate equation for the first order kinetics. It is log C0 upon C is equal to KT. Okay. So if you have to find the half life, that is T half, so in place of T you will put T half. So here, so log C0 upon C is equal to KT. In place of T you will put T half, and in place of C0 upon C you can put 2, because the initial concentration, if it is C0, and we are talking about half life. Half life means the time at which the concentration has decreased to the half of the initial concentration. If the initial concentration was C0, the final concentration will be C0 upon 2. So C0 divided by C0 upon 2, it will be equal to 2, because C0 will get cancelled out by C0, and T is equal to T half. So K can be written as log 2, which is 0.693 divided by T half. Okay. So this is the formula to calculate for rate constant and half life. So in this question, we have the half life given. What is the half life given as? Half life is 14.3 days. Okay. And they have asked what fraction of initial P32 will remain after 84 days. So what we will do first, we will calculate the rate constant from the half life. So we have the half life as 14.3 days. So we can easily calculate the rate constant by dividing it by 0.693. So 0.693 divided by 14.3 will be equal to the rate constant, and the value is 0.0485 day inverse. The unit for the reaction rate constant in case of first order reaction is time per unit time. So time inverse. Okay. Now we if you see this equation, ln C0 upon C is equal to KT, this can also be written as ln C upon C0 is equal to minus KT. Okay. And if you move the log to the other side, so it will be C upon C0 is equal to e to the power of minus KT. Okay. So C upon C0 is equal to e to the power of minus KT. Now we have the value of K, and what is the time that they have asked? They have asked for 84 days. So we can easily solve K into T. and then e to the power of minus k into t, the value is 0.017. So see what basically we had to solve for the fraction. So the fraction, that is final concentration divided by the initial concentration, C upon C0, we are getting 0.017. If you multiply it by 100 to find the percentage, you will find the answer to be 1.7%. Okay. So the option number B is correct, 1.7%. I hope everybody understood this question. So basically we had the half-life given, and we had to solve for the k. Once we get the reaction rate constant k, we have to now find the fraction of the initial P32 that will be remaining in the reaction. Okay. So now we will move to the third question.
Ma'am, how to solve it? Like, please tell me once again, ma'am.
How
Like,
to
if you
solve what?
multiply 0.0485 into 84, then how you get, ma'am, the last line, how to solve 0.048 into 85 because 84, because after the multiplications of both, we got 4.074, then
Yeah, so
how
the
you come like 0.07, that I'm not getting.
if once you multiply k into t, you have to find the value of e to the power minus kt. The value of e is around 2.3. So if you use a calculator, you will find the value of e. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Like, what is the value of E?
2.7 2.72. It is around 2.72.
Okay, then
Okay.
72 is 4.7, something like this.
2.72 to the what is the value you
Ma'am,
are getting for 0.048 into 84? What is the value you are getting?
ma'am, 4.074.
Yeah, so it will be 2.72 raised to the power of minus 4.7, whatever you are getting.
Okay.
Okay.
Then, ma'am, how to split out like this? It's yeah, it's okay, ma'am. But how to split out like this? It's a very big number, no? How to convert into 0.017?
Just
That
see,
I'm not
whenever you
understanding.
have such big equations, you can always round it off to 2 or 3 decimal places and then solve. Okay. You can use a calculator for this. So you will have the E value in your calculator also. Use a scientific calculator, and then you just have to put E raised to the power of minus 0.0485 into 84. Or if you have solved for 0.0485 into 84 first, so whatever you are getting, just take it up to 2 decimal places and put E raised to the power of, or 2.72 raised to the power of minus whatever value you are getting, 4.7 or whatever. Understood?
Got it.
Yeah. So E is basically the exponential constant. So whenever you have ln written, it means it is the log with the base E. If you have log written in the equation log, in that case it is log base 10. Okay, so that is the difference between ln and log. So in such questions you can always use a calculator and find out, uh, but anyway you should remember the value of E, uh, because sometimes the questions are very direct. Maybe the value on the power you are getting is 1 or uh, -1, like that. So you can easily see the question and solve the answer. So okay, so moving on to the third question. The following results are obtained in an experiment. So we have a set of results. So we have different time intervals given in terms of minutes and different concentration corresponding to different times. So at 0 times certain concentration is given and the concentration is continuously decreasing. The concentration of reactants is given in terms of mg per liter. Find out the order of the reaction and the corresponding rate constant. So we have to find the order of the reaction and the corresponding rate constant. So how will we do that? So it's basically an experimental data. We have the time, we have the concentration. So in the first slide itself I have explained that for different data set, for different reactions, for different order of reaction, you have different kinds of plot that gives you a linear curve. Okay, so first we'll see which curve is linear for this data set. So we have the time, we have the concentration. So first we'll plot for the zero order reaction, that is C versus T. C versus T, if you plot, you can see the data is not linear. The R square value is 0.82. It is not linear at all. Okay, so C versus T is not linear, so it's not a zero order reaction. Next, what we'll do, we'll again plot for LNC. So we can calculate the LNC values. So log C, you can just use a calculator, or if you are doing it on Excel, you can put the formula and convert the C value into logarithmic value, LNC. Okay, so once you have the LNC values, plot the LNC versus time. Okay, so LNC versus time, now check if it is a linear curve. It is nearly a linear curve. Okay, it is R square value is 0.9, so we can say that it's almost a linear curve. Now I haven't shown it in this slide, but you can also try plotting 1 upon C. So you can calculate 1 upon C, 1 upon 100, 1 upon 58, like that. For each value you can find 1 upon C and plot 1 upon C versus T. Okay, so this you can do later, 1 upon C versus T, and you will see that graph is also not linear. So in this way you can find out which graph is linear and then conclude that what is the order of the reaction. So in this case the order of this reaction is first order. Okay, because the first order graph, the LNC versus T graph, is linear. Okay, so basically three plots are there: C versus T, LNC versus T, and 1 by C versus T. Okay, first one is for 0, second is for first order, and third one is for second order reaction. Okay, so from the plot we can see that it's a first order kinetics. Now what is the next thing that they have asked? They have asked the corresponding rate constant. Okay, so rate constant, how will we find the rate constant? The rate constant is nothing but the slope of the linear curve. Okay, slope of the linear curve. So in this curve,
How you get y is equal to 0.853x plus 4.9.
so when you will plot,
0.045 and r
yeah,
square is equal
yeah,
to 0.
yeah, I'll tell you. So when you will plot the data in Excel, you can you turn your mic off? There's a lot of disturbance. I'll explain. So when you plot a graph in Excel, what happens is like you will have your x-axis and y-axis, right? Here the x-axis is time and y-axis is concentration or LNC. So then you can just right click on that graph and you will get certain options. So in the last option you will find the option trend line. So here we are trying to see the linearity of the graph. Okay, so you will select the trend line to be linear. Once you select the trend line to be linear, you can go to more options and you can select the graph equation and the r square value, and these graphs are plotted in on Excel only, and you can get the this graph equation, the linear equation, and the r square value. The linear equation, if you have like you must have studied in maths in school level, that it's y is equal to mx plus c. It's a linear equation, okay, where y is the y axis value, x is your x axis value, and then m is the slope. So in this case y is equal to minus 0.835 x plus 4.9045. This is basically y is equal to mx plus c, which where m is the slope of this. So it has a negative slope. You can see the graph is going from top to bottom, so it has a negative slope, okay. And if you see the first order rate reaction, that is also similar. It is ln C0 is equal to minus kt, t is your x axis, so kt plus ln c, sorry, ln c is equal to minus kt plus ln C0, okay. So basically this 4.9045 is the ln C0 value. So from this you can find the initial concentration also for the if for this reaction. Minus k is your m value, so minus k is equal to minus 0.835, so k will be equal to 0.835, okay. I hope it is clear. And this r square value is basically,
Concentrations.
sorry,
How you get the initial concentrations? I'm asking them how you get the initial concentrations of each number.
you won't get the initial concentration of each number, you will get the initial concentration of the reaction. It's the same reaction that is going on. So if you see, they
No, no,
started,
ma'am. You can put the right side. Na, there is a four. I'm saying, ma'am, you can mention. Na, there is a one like initial concentrations 4.161,
yeah, yeah,
4.06,
that
4.37.
is
Like how
not
you
the,
get
that is not the initial
how you
concentration,
get that number?
that is not the initial concentration, that is the log value. It is L, it is not I, it is ln, lnc. I would suggest you to
Okay.
go through the logarithmic like exponential equations, the basics of exponential equations, then you will understand this. So basically if you have any value, you can take the logarithmic value of that either at the base of e, the e that is 2.72, and or with the base 10, and you can solve for the log value, okay. So this is the logarithmic scale. So log 100 is equal to 4.61, log 58 is equal to 4.06, log 32 is equal to 3.47, okay.
It is clear, but
Yeah,
one more thing, can I ask?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, so in the final exam, if we get such type of questions, then can we allow Excel, or what should we
I
do?
don't think you will get such type of questions in the final exam, as far as I know. Or if even if you get, you will be given like the graph will be given, and then you might they might ask you like from the graph what can you say, what is the order of the reaction, and from the graph you have to solve for the k value, rate constant, like that, okay.
Okay, so basically we'll get a 1 mark question, or like that,
that
or
i
we will
that
get any kind of
i
long
can't
question.
that I can't tell you, like I don't have that information. You can mail the NPTEL team to ask that, okay. As far as I
Okay,
think,
thank
it
you.
might, it should be similar to your assignment questions only, but then I'm not sure about it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay. So for this question I hope this is clear now. So it's a first order reaction where the reaction rate constant is 0.835 per minute, okay. So we'll move to the next question. Question number 4. If the first order rate constant for bacterial decay is 0.2 per day at 20 degrees Celsius and if an A for equation K2 is equal to K1A raised to the power of T2 minus T1 for of 1.035 is assumed to describe the effect of temperature on rate constant, what are the first order decomposition rate constant at 30 degrees Celsius and the value of activation energy, that is EA. So here this question, in this question they have so basically what we have to find, we have to find the rate constant at a different temperature. So rate constant at 20 degrees Celsius is given, we have to find the rate constant at 30 degrees Celsius, and we have to find the activation energy, and they have given one formula that is describing the effect of temperature on rate constant. Okay, so from this formula we can easily find the second rate constant, the K2, that is the rate constant at 30 degrees Celsius. So we have K2, we have K1 given as 0.2. Okay, rate constant, first order rate constant at 20 degrees Celsius. Initial rate constant is 0.2. Okay, what is the T2? T2 is 30 degrees Celsius and T1 is 20 degrees Celsius. Now when you are solving such equations, the temperature is always converted into Kelvin. Okay, so you have to convert the temperature to Kelvin scale and then solve for the equation. So we will first solve for the K2 value. So K2 is equal to K1A raised to the power of T2 minus T1. This is given in the question. K1 is given in the question, T2 is given in the question, T1 is given in the question, and value of A is given in the question. Okay, so you can easily solve for K2. Okay, 0.2 into 1.035 raised to the power of 303 minus 293. Okay, once you convert the 20 degrees Celsius and 30 degrees Celsius into Kelvin scale, you will find the value 303 minus 293. So when you solve this whole equation, you will find the value of K2 to be 0.282 per day. Okay, day inverse. Rate constant for a first order reaction, the units are time inverse. So this is day inverse. Now there is another equation to describe the effect of temperature on the rate constant. So using this equation, we will solve the rest of the question. So this equation is basically ln K2 upon K1, which is equal to EA upon R multiplied by 1 upon T1 minus 1 upon T2. Okay, so EA is the activation energy, R is the universal gas constant. The value of R is already given as 8.314. Okay, K2 we have already solved, 0.282. K1 it is already given in the question, 0.2, and the temperatures are already given. T1 is 20 degrees Celsius, that is 293 Kelvin, and T2 is 30 degrees Celsius, that is 303 Kelvin. Okay, so if you solve the whole thing, you will find the value of activation energy EA, that is 25.36 kilojoule per mole. Okay, I hope there's no doubt in this. It's basically you just have to put the values in the formula. You have to remember this formula, ln K2 upon K1 is equal to EA upon R, 1 upon T1 minus 1 upon T2. Okay, so our answer is 0.282 for the rate constant and 25.36 for kilojoule per mole as the activation energy value. So for question number 4, option C is the correct answer. Okay,
Ma'am, just I want to see, just can you please back to the one slide more, please?
this one,
Just I want to ask the last line of the fourth question. No, ma'am, the last questions. You taught the last questions, fourth one.
just a second.
Only. This one only. Ma'am, like there is a no log, like there is a log, like you can tell log initials, then 0.2.
Just wait, yeah, yeah, can you see?
I'm asking them how to solve that. Like, yes, ma'am, I'll see that questions. Ma'am, there is a like IN means the log 10. Log 10 is equal to
It's not I,
0.284
Remika.
divided by
It's
0.
it is not I. It is L.
Sorry, it's log.
It is the ln value. You can use a
Okay, it's
calculator to
log.
solve this.
Yeah, yeah.
If you see in a scientific calculator, just open a calculator in your phone only, and you can see the log and two buttons, one saying log and one saying ln. Use that to solve this. Otherwise, the actual way of solving these log questions are by using a log table. So you get a log table, and then you have to I have to cover all the questions, so I can't really cover how to solve the logarithmic equations. I would suggest you to go to your basic mathematics books and try to find how to solve this. For now, you can use a calculator to solve this. Okay. So you can divide 0.282 and 0.2, whatever value you are getting, that value you have to solve using a log table or a calculator. Okay. I hope it is clear. So moving to the next question, question number 5. Consider the reaction 2A plus B goes to product P. The rate of the reaction is 4.8 into 10 raised to the power of minus 4 mg per liter per hour if concentration of A is equal to concentration of B, which is equal to 0.4 molar, and the rate constant at 300 Kelvin is 3 into 10 raised to the power of minus 3 liter per mg per hour. What is the overall order of the reaction? So here we have a reaction given 2A plus B goes to product. Okay. And the rate of the reaction is given as 4.8 into 10 raised to the power of minus 4. Okay. So we have to find the order of the reaction. So first I'll tell you how to solve this question. So there is a formula for the rate. If the reaction order is unknown, and if it's a bimolecular or trimolecular reaction, basically if the number of reactant is more than 1, the overall order of the reaction will depend on all the, like it might depend on all the reactants. So it is in general it is described as rate is equal to rate constant multiplied by the concentration of the first reactant raised to the power of n multiplied by concentration of the second reactant multiplied raised to the power of m. This n and m values, these are not the number of moles used in the reaction. These are their individual order of the reaction. So if the reaction is first order in terms of A, the value of n will be 1. If the reaction is first order in terms of B, the value will be value of m will be 1. Okay. So whatever the order of the reaction in terms of the single reactant, those are the n and m values. Okay. So we have rate is equal to k a to the power of n and b to the power of m. Now we have the rate value given in the question as 4.8 into 10 raised to the power of minus 4. Okay. We have the k value given, rate constant given as 3 into 10 raised to the power of minus 3 multiplied by the concentration of A and B, both are given as 0.4. Okay. So if you solve this, if you divide 4.8 into 10 raised to the power of minus 4 by 3 into 10 raised to the power of minus 3. So this 3 into 10 raised to the power of minus 3 will go that side of the equation and it will go in the denominator. and if you will solve that, you will find it to be 0.16. Okay, and here we have 0.4 raised to the power of n plus m. Okay, so 0.16 can be written as 0.4 raised to the power of 2. So if you see these two equations, n plus m is equal to 2. That means the reaction follows second order kinetics. Okay, the overall order of the reaction is 2 or second order. Okay, now there's a trick to solve this question also. If you see the unit of the rate constant, okay, in the question, can you see the question?
No.
Just a second. Yeah, now can you see? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you see in this, the unit of the rate constant, if you see, it is mass inverse into volume into time inverse. So I have told you in the initial slide only that the unit for the rate constant is different for different orders of the reaction. So if you see directly from the unit, you can tell which what is the order of this reaction. Just wait a second. Yeah. So question number 6. The rate law for a reaction involving the reactants X, Y and Z is found as K into concentration of X raised to the power of 3, Y raised to the power of 2 by 3 and concentration of Z. Okay. How would the rate of the reaction change when the concentration of X is reduced to X by 2 and concentration of Z is octupled? Octupled means 8 times increased. Okay, so what they have asked, they have given a rate equation already. Okay, the rate equation for a reaction that has 3 reactants X, Y and Z, the rate equation is already given. Now they have said that if they reduce X from X to X by 2, if they reduce it by half, and if they increase Z 8 times, okay, if they increase Z, the value of Z 8 times, what will be the new rate constant? So to solve this, what we'll do, we'll see, we'll replace the value of X with X by 2 and the value of Z with 8Z, okay. So the rate equation, the first rate equation is given as k into x cube into y raised to the power of 2 by 3 into z. Okay. Now the new x is x by 2, the new z is 8z. So the new rate equation will be k into x by 2 raised to the power of 3 into y raised to the power of 2 by 3 into 8z. Now we know 2 cube is equal to 8, okay. So 1 by 8 can be taken out of this equation, and from here the 8 from this 8z 8 can be taken out of this equation. So 8 upon 8 it will get cancelled out. 8 upon 8 is 1, so it will get cancelled out. So the new rate equation is again the same as the first rate equation, because whatever decrease in the x is happening, it is compensating for the increase in the z. So if you see, the new rate equation is same as the first old rate equation. So the answer will be the rate of the reaction, it won't change, it will remain the same if we decrease the concentration of x by half and increase the concentration of z by 8 times, okay. So the next question, question number 7. When Cl2O7,
Please repeat last one. I'm not getting that question. Sorry, ma'am, but I'm not getting that question. Can you please repeat that question? Thank you.
so
Thank you.
the old rate reaction is given, it is already given in the question. This formula, rate is equal to k into x cube into y to the power of 2 by 3 into z. This is already given in the question, and they have asked if they change x from x, if they change it to x by 2. Now what will happen, in place of x it will be x by 2 in raised to the power of 3, okay, and in place of z, if they are asking if they change it to 8z, okay, so it will be 8z. So x by 2 raised to the power of 3 means it will be x by 8, okay, x cube by 8, sorry, x cube by 8, okay, and 8z, if you take the 8 out, like this 8 is in the denominator, this 8 is in the numerator, so it will get cancelled out with this, and the final equation that you will get will be same as what it was given earlier, okay. There is no change in the new rate equation and the old rate equation, okay. Basically whatever decrease in x is getting decreased by 8 times and this term is getting increased by 8 times, so the 8 is getting cancelled out by 8, okay. I hope that's clear.
Thank you.
So question number 7. When Cl2O7 decomposes at 550 Kelvin in the gas phase to form Cl2 and O2, it follows a rate order kinetics. After 2 minutes at 550 Kelvin, the pressure of Cl2O7 falls from 0.1 to 0.05 atmosphere. What is the approximate rate constant? So they have given it is a first order kinetics, okay. So we have to apply the formula for the first order kinetics. and they have given the change in time. So time is changing from 0 to 2 minutes. Okay, so the dt value will be 2 minutes. 2 minutes means, if you see, they have asked the answer in terms of seconds. So 2 minutes means 120 seconds. Okay, so 2 minutes means 120 seconds. So and in the question they have given the atmospheric pressure, the pressure is given for Cl2O7. It is changing from 0.1 to 0.05. So we have ln C0 by C is equal to Kt. This is the formula for first order rate reaction. Now we have to find the value of K. So it will be minus 1 upon T ln C by C0. So ln C0 by C is equal to Kt. So if you inverse this, so ln C upon C0 will be minus Kt. Okay, and minus 1 upon T ln C0 upon C upon C0. If you replace the values, so now value of T is 120, 2 minutes means 120 seconds. Value of C, final pressure is 0.05. Initial pressure is 0.1. So why we are replacing pressure with the concentration? Because the concentration and pressure values are proportional to each other. So we can use it in this case. And if you solve this whole equation, you will get the value of K to be 5.78 into 10 raised to the power of minus 3 per second. Okay. So it is the option number B for this question. Okay. So you just have to find the value of K. So you just have to replace all the value, all the given terms in the first order rate equation. Okay. So question number 8. Just a second. Yeah. So question number 8. 2A plus B goes to C. This is the reaction given. For this reaction, find the rate law from the following data. So again you have a data given. You have the concentration of A given, different concentrations of A, different concentrations of B, and in that case different rates. Okay. So rate, when the concentration of A was 0.3 and B was 0.03, the rate was 0.25, and like that you have three different data set given, and we have been asked to find the rate equation. So I have told you the general rate equation is K into A raised to the power of m, B raised to the power of n, where m and n are the individual orders of the reaction in terms of A and in terms of B respectively. Okay, so we have three equations given. First, like we have three values of rates given, right, and the concentration of A and B given. So for the first value we can write an equation 0.25, which is the rate, is equal to K into 0.3 raised to the power of m, which is the concentration of A, multiplied by 0.03 raised to the power of n, which is the concentration of B. Similarly, the second and third equation can be written. Now we have three equations and we have to solve for m and n, because we have to find the order of the reaction. So order of the reaction, we have to find the reaction rate equation. So to find the rate equation you have to find the value of m and n. Okay, so if you divide the equation number 3 by equation number 2, what we will get? We will get on the right hand side we have 4.5 and 0.5. So 4.5 divided by 0.5, and this side we will get k into 0.9 raised to the power of m multiplied by 0.06 raised to the power of n divided by k into 0.3 raised to the power of m multiplied by 0.06 raised to the power of n. Okay. Now the terms n terms, the terms that are raised to the power of n, they get cancelled out. Both are 0.06 raised to the power of n. So it will get cancelled out, and we will get 0.9 divided by 0.3 raised to the power of m is equal to 4.5 divided by 0.5. Now 4.5 divided by 0.5 is 9, and here we are getting 3 raised to the power of m. So the value of m will be 2, because 3 raised to the power of 2 is 9. Okay, so the value of m we got as 2. Similarly, if you divide the equation 2 by 1, if you divide the equation, second equation by the first equation, you will get the value of n. The 0.3 raised to the power of m will get cancelled out, k will get cancelled out, and you will get 0.06 raised to the power of n divided by 0.03 raised to the power of n, which is equal to 0.5 divided by 0.25. So 0.5 divided by 0.25 is equal to 2, and we have here 0.06 divided by 0.03, it is also equal to 2. So 2 raised to the power of n is equal to 2, that means n is equal to 1. Okay. So if I have to write the final rate equation, we will write k into a raised to the power of m. So what was the value of m? M was 2. So k into a raised to the power of 2, b raised to the power of 1. Okay. And if I ask what will be the final order of this reaction, can anyone answer? Order of this reaction will be? To find the order of this reaction, we have to add the m and n values. So m plus n will be the final order of this reaction. So it will be 2 plus 1, that is 3. Okay. So it is a third order reaction. They haven't asked this, but then just to give you an idea how to calculate that. Okay. So moving to the next question, question number 9. Consider the following reaction. Is the question number 9 visible?
No.
Yeah, just a second. Consider the following reaction. 2O3 goes to 3O2. Okay. The rate of appearance of O2 is 4.25 liter per second over the first 6 seconds. Okay. Now the rate is given and the time, the small time period is given. How much oxygen will be formed during this time? So now we have the rate, we have the time, we have been asked to solve for the concentration of the reactant, product. Okay. So for this question we can write the rate of appearance is basically dC upon dt, that is the rate of the equation. Okay. I have told you either it can be written in forms of with the negative symbol if we are considering the concentration of the reactant. It will be in terms of it will be with the positive symbol when we are taking the concentration of the product. So since the product is forming, dC will be in positive, so dC upon dt. So dC upon dt is given as 4.25. Okay. And we have to find the value of dC. So dt is given as 6 seconds. So 4.25 multiplied by 6, that is 25.5 liters. Okay, so concentration of generated oxygen will be 25.5 liters. Okay, so that will be option number C. So moving on to the next question, question number 10. In a study with a groundwater sample, it was observed that tetrachloroethylene, that is TCE, is degraded following first order kinetics with a half-life of 144 hours. If the current groundwater concentration of TCE is 14 microgram per liter, how long will it take before the TCE concentration is reduced to the drinking water standard 2.5 microgram per liter? So what is given? It is a first order kinetics. So first order rate equation we have to use. We have the half life given. So in the previous in one of the previous questions we have solved for this. We can solve for the rate constant from the half life. Okay. So we have the half life given as 144 hours. So how can we solve the rate constant from half life? We have to divide 0.693 by 144, that is the T half. Okay, so first we will find the K will be 0.693, that is the value of ln2. ln2 is equal to 0.693, so 0.693 divided by 144, we will get the value to be 4.81 into 10 raised to the power of minus 3. Okay, once we have the K, now what do we have to solve? We have the initial concentration, that is 14, the final concentration, that is 2.5, 14 microgram per liter. From 14 microgram per liter they have asked how much time it will take to reduce it to 2.5 microgram per liter. That means the initial concentration is 14, final is 2.5. So C0 upon C, ln C0 upon C is done. That this is equal to K into T. We have to solve for T. The value of K we have got, we have already solved from the half life. What was the value of K? It is 4.81 into 10 raised to the power of minus 3 per hour. Okay, so if we divide the value of K from this ln 14 upon 2.5, we will get the value of T, time. This is the time taken for this TCE to reduce from 14 microgram per liter concentration to 2.5 microgram per liter concentration. Okay, so 358 hours is the answer. That is the option number D. Okay, so moving on to the next question, question number 11. Half-life of 2,4-D. Degradation follows the first order kinetics. So again a first order kinetic equation will be used. So half-life of 2,4-D is estimated to be approximately 14 days. Okay, again the half-life is given. How long would a waste containing 20 mg per liter of 2,4-D have to be stored in order to reduce the concentration to 0.5 mg per liter? So it is a very similar question to the previous question. What we have the half-life. Half-life is 14 days. What can we solve from this half-life? We can solve the rate constant, the value of K. So since it's a first order kinetics, the rate constant K will be equal to 0.693, that is ln2 divided by 14 days, that is the t half, right? So once you solve for k, value of k, then how will we solve for the rest of the question? We have the initial concentration, we have the final concentration. That means we have the value of C, we have the value of C0. So C0 is 20 mg per liter and value of C is 0.5 mg per liter. Okay. So it is very similar to the previous question, question number 10. So I hope you all can solve this. So our first order rate equation is ln C0 upon C is equal to KT. Okay. And the half life is given as 14 days. So K will be equal to 0.693 divided by 14, that is ln2 divided by 14. So value of K will be equal to 0.0495 days inverse. Okay. Now once we get the value of K, we just have to substitute the value of K in the first order rate equation. What is the first order rate equation? Again, ln C0 upon C is equal to K into T. We have to solve for T. So we will divide the whole thing with K. So ln C0 was 20, C is, the final concentration is 0.5. We have to reduce it to 0.5 mg per liter. So 20 mg per liter divided by 0.5 mg per liter. We will take the log of the whole thing and then the whole thing will be divided by 0.045, that is the K value that we have solved. Okay. Is there any doubt in both of these questions? So the answer is,
just one doubt. Can you please tell me how to use that? Like, I'm not the same background. My background is different, so I don't know how to solve this log n 2 divided by 14. Like that is, I don't know. Just you can
do
explain
you
me just
have a
one, please.
calculator around you?
Yes, ma'am. I have.
Yeah, so in the is it a scientific calculator?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so in the calculator you can see, so 20 divided by 0.5 will be, what will be the value of 20 divided by 0.5?
20 divided by 0.5, 40.
40. Okay. So
Yes, ma'am.
in your calculator can you see ln given?
Yes, ma'am. Log given. And
L,
in is yeah,
it's not
in given.
I, Remeka, it's L.
Yeah, I got it. Ln given.
Huh. So
It's ln. Yeah, yeah.
just type
It's
40 in your,
given.
just type 40 in your calculator and click on that ln, you will get the log value.
I'll type 40. I'll get 3.6.
Yeah, and then divided by 0.0495.
7.4.
Yeah, 7.4, 0.0495.
Yes, 0.4, 0.4.5.
So what answer did you get? 74.5?
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I hope it is clear now. Okay, so moving on to the next question. It is found that disappearance of a chemical compound follows first order kinetics, and after 20 seconds the concentration was 60 mg per liter. Let the initial concentration be 150 mg per liter. Find its approximate rate constant. So here we have the reaction order as the first order reaction. We have the initial concentration 150 mg per liter. We have the final concentration to be 60 mg per liter, and we have the time given, dt given. So we have C0, we have C, we have dt. What we have to find? We have to find the value of K, the rate constant. So for a first order reaction, I have already shown you in the initial slide what is the formula for the rate equation. It is natural log C0 upon C. It is equal to KT, okay, where C0 is the initial concentration, C is the final concentration, K is the rate constant, and T is the time. So value of K will be natural log C0 is 150 here and C is 60. Initial concentration is given as 150 mg per liter and final concentration is given as 60 mg per liter. So value of K will be log of 150 divided by 60 divided by 20. Why 20? 20 is the time. So we are calculating it in terms of seconds only. So we will keep the time in seconds only. So 20 seconds. So after solving this, you will find the answer to be 0.0458 per second, which is approximately equal to 0.046. Okay. So if we see which option is correct here, option number C is the correct answer for this question, question number 12. Okay. So basically we just have to remember the rate equations for all the three, 0 order, first order and second order reactions, and you can just see what all values are given in the question and you can replace those values to find the find whatever is asked in the question. I hope it is clear. So moving to the next question, question number 13. Let a first order reaction is 12.5% complete in 45 hours. To have 75% complete, it will take approximately. So now again we have a first order reaction where instead of giving you the initial and final concentration, this time they have told you the percentage of the reaction that is completed. So here they have said that to complete 12.5% reaction, it takes 45 hours. So you have the time, you have the percentage of reaction that is completed. If you have the percentage of reaction, indirectly they have given you the initial and final concentration. So basically they have given you the ratio between the initial and final concentration. So if you use these information to find the rate constant for this first order reaction using the same formula that we have used in the previous question. So natural log of C0 upon C is equal to KT. Here we have the T value given, we have to find the K. But from where will we get the C0 and C value? Initial concentration and final concentration. So to find that, what information we have? We have the information that the reaction is 12.5% completed. That means let's assume our initial concentration is 100. Okay. If our initial concentration is 100, what will be our final concentration? If from that 100, 12.5% reactant is already used. So how much concentration is remaining? 100 minus 12.5. Okay. So if you see, let C0 be 100, then C will be 100 minus 12.5, that is 87.5. Okay, and T is already given as 45 hours. So you can find the value of K using the formula ln C0 upon C is equal to KT. So K will be equal to ln 100 upon 87.5, C0 is 100, C is 87.5, divided by 45, because 45 hours is the time. So you got the K value in terms of hours. Okay. Now in the question they have asked to find the time it takes to complete the reaction up to 75%. So for 75% of the reaction to get completed, how much time will it require? So now we have got the value of rate constant. So in this case, if the initial concentration is still 100 and 75% of the reaction is completed, what will be the final concentration? The final concentration will be 100 minus 75, that is 25. So C will be 25. C0 is already 100. So now to find T, we can just divide ln C0 by C divided by K. K value we have calculated 0.00297 per hour. So if you divide, so 100 upon 25 will be 4, and natural log of 4 divided by 0.00297. If you solve this, you will get T value to be for 466.77 hours. But now in the question you see options are given in days. Okay, so you have to complete this, so you have to convert this hours into number of days. So one day has 24 hours. So 466.77 hours will have 466.77 divided by 24 days, which is approximately equal to 19.45 days. And here in this question, option number D is 19.45 days. So option number D is the correct answer for this question. Okay. So in the previous questions, we saw that they have given the C0 and the C value, initial and the final concentration. But in this question, they have not given the initial final concentration. Instead, they have mentioned the percentage of the reaction. So you can just assume the initial concentration, and based on that 12.5% of that initial concentration will be your final concentration. So like that you have to solve. Okay, so moving to the next question, question number 14. Consider the reaction B goes to C. It is found that the rate of the reaction increases by a factor of 4 when the concentration of C is quadrupled. The reaction is, so you have a reaction B goes to C, reactant is B, product is C, and it is found that the rate of the reaction, how it is determined? Rate of the reaction is nothing but, how do you write rate of the reaction? Rate of the reaction is K into concentration to the power of N, where N is the order of the reaction. So they haven't mentioned the order of the reaction. We have to find the order of the reaction. So rate is equal to K, that is the rate constant, multiplied by the concentration to the power of N. Okay. Now what they are saying? They are saying when the concentration is quadrupled, that means when C becomes 4C, the rate is also increasing by 4 times. That means R is becoming 4R. Okay. So if you have R1 is equal to Kc to the power of N, the new rate R2, which is equal to 4R1, it is equal to K into 4C raised to the power of N. If you divide these two equations, 4R1 divided by R1, it will be 4, and if you divide the RHS of it, you will have K will get cancelled out with K, and 4c to the power n divided by c to the power n, it will be 4 to the power of n. So 4 to the power of n is equal to 4. That means n, the value of n is 1, and that means the order of the reaction is first order. Okay, so this is a first order reaction, where when the concentration is increased 4 times, the reaction rate is also increasing 4 times. Okay, I hope this is clear. So moving to the next question, question number 15. A reaction has been found to have an activation energy of 25,000 calories per mole and a specific reaction rate constant of 5 per second at 27 degrees Celsius. Calculate the specific reaction rate constant at 0 degrees Celsius given 1.98 calories per degree per given R is equal to 1.98 degrees given R is equal to 1.98 calories per degree per mole. So in this question we have the activation energy given, we have the specific rate constant given for a particular temperature. So for 27 degrees the rate constant is given. We have to find the rate constant at 0 degrees. So I have shown you the formula to what formula will be used here. So we will use the formula ln, that is natural log K2 upon K1 is equal to EA upon R 1 upon T1 minus 1 upon T2. So in this question we have the K1 value given. So K1 is 5 per second. K1 is basically the rate constant at T1. T1 is 27 degrees Celsius. T2 is 0 degrees Celsius. We have to convert this in Kelvin scale. So T1 will be 300 and T2 will be 273. Value of EA is given as 25,000, activation energy is given as 25,000, and value of R is given as 1.98. So just replace all the values that are given in the question to find to solve for K2. We have to solve for K2. So we have log K2 upon 5 is equal to 25,000 divided by 1.98 multiplied by 1 upon 300 minus 1 upon 273. Okay, when you solve this whole equation you will find the answer K2 is equal to 0.08 per second, and if you see option number A is the correct answer, 0.08 per second. Okay, so basically you just have to see which what all values are given. You have the T1, you have the T2, you have the K1, you have to solve for K2, you have the EA value given, and R is a constant value anyways. Okay, and this formula is basically used to determine the temperature dependency on the reaction rate constants. Okay, so moving to the next question. The aerobic decomposition of hydroxylamine follows the rate expression as rate is equal to K NH2OH concentration of NH2OH multiplied by concentration of O2. Okay, let K is 0.096 into 10 raised to the power of minus 3 liter per mole per second at 27 degrees Celsius and 1.04 into 10 raised to the power of minus 3 liter per mole per second at 50 degrees Celsius. Calculate EA. So you have to solve for EA. that is the activation energy. You have both K1 and K2 at different temperatures. So here T1 is 27 degrees Celsius, which is 300 Kelvin, and T2 is given as 50 degrees Celsius, which is 323 Kelvin. You have the K1 value given, you have the K2 value given, you have the uh, R value which is known. So basically you just have to replace the values and you have to find the value of EA, that is the activation energy. Okay, so log K2 upon K1 will be EA upon R, 1 upon T1 minus 1 upon T2. Okay, so this equation is basically coming from the Arrhenius equation, and you can solve for EA, activation energy, and when you solve this whole equation, you will find the value of EA to be 83.4 kilojoule per mole. Okay, so if you see in this question, option number C is 83.4 kilojoule per mole. So option number C is the correct answer for question number 16. Okay, so moving on to the next question, question number 17. A sample is known to have maximum absorbance at wavelength of 356 nanometer. Its molar absorptivity is 7200 liter per mole per centimeter. Width of the cuvette is 1 centimeter. Spectrophotometer finds absorbance A is equal to 0.60. What is the concentration of the sample? So now this question is based on the Beer-Lambert's law. First, so this law is very commonly used uh, solving these kinds of uh, questions. So basically, in a spectrophotometer, when a spectrophotometer measures the absorbance, that absorbance is proportional to the concentration of the sample and the path length for the light. So here the width of the cuvette is the path length of the light, because the light is passing through the cuvette and the sample is there inside the cuvette. So the light is basically passing the same length as the width of the cuvette. So the path length will be 1 centimeter, and absorbance, since it is proportional to the concentration and path length, molar absorptivity is nothing but the proportionality constant. So if you if this Beer-Lambert's law is written in form of equation, it is written as absorbance is equal to epsilon into L into C, where epsilon is the molar absorptivity, it is the proportionality constant, L is the path length, and C is the concentration of the sample. So you have the absorbance value given as 0.60, epsilon value given as 7200, path length is given as 1 centimeter, and we have to solve for the concentration. So to solve for the concentration, we have to divide 0.6 by 7200, which is C is equal to 8.33 into 10 raised to the power of minus 5 moles per liter. So option number B is the correct answer. So these kind of question, to solve these kinds of question, we have to use the Beer-Lambert's law, which states absorbance is equal to molar absorptivity multiplied by the concentration of the sample multiplied by the path length. Okay, and whatever is asked, you can calculate accordingly using the given information in the question. Okay. So the next question is question number 18. What are the functional groups present in the aminonitrophenol? So this is a very simple question. What are the functional groups present in the amino 4-aminophenol? What are the functional groups present in 4-aminophenol? Can anyone answer? So basically 4-aminophenol, we have to tell the functional groups. So if you see in the options, we have amino is there in the name only, so you can easily guess that one of the functional group will be amino. The second functional group, phenol. What is phenol? Phenol is basically when an OH group is present on the benzene ring. Okay. So 4-aminophenol means one is the amino group and one is the OH group, phenolic OH group, which is present on the benzene ring. So option number C is the correct answer. This is the structure of 4-aminophenol. So you have the amino group and the OH group. So OH group is present. Since the OH group has higher priority, we will number this carbon as 1. So 1, 2, 3 and at the 4th position amino group is present. That's why it is 4-aminophenol. Phenol because if an OH group is present in the benzene ring, it is called phenol. Okay. So moving on to the next question. Question number 19. What is the unit of the rate constant of a second order reaction? What is the unit of the rate constant of a second order reaction? So I have presented it in the initial slide only, and I have told you during the session how to find for the unit of the rate constant. So every reaction has different like every reaction of different orders have different units for their respective rate constant. So 0 order will have a different unit, first order will have a different unit, second order will have a different unit. What is constant is the unit of the reaction rate itself. Okay, reaction rate, for that unit will be fixed. For that the unit is mass per unit volume per unit time. Okay, so if I have to find the unit of the second order reaction, unit of the rate constant of the second order reaction, the answer here is liter per mole per second. So sorry, here there was a mistake, it will be a second order reaction. So for a second order reaction rate, dC upon dt is equal to K into concentration whole square. Why whole square? Because the order is 2. Okay, so dC upon dt, the unit for this is moles per liter per second, and then the unit for K will be, and unit for C will be moles per liter. So moles per liter whole square. So here you have in the LHS you have moles per liter per second, on the RHS you have moles per liter whole square multiplied by K. So the unit for K will be mole inverse multiplied by liter multiplied by second inverse. Okay, so the answer is D. Option number D is the correct answer. Okay, so the last question of this session, question number 20. 2,4-D. 2,4-D in aqueous solution shows its shows its lambda max in the UV range. We want to measure the absorbance at its lambda max. We must use a cell made of. So what is lambda max? Lambda max is basically the wavelength at which we get the maximum absorbance for a particular sample. Okay, so a wavelength at which we get the maximum absorbance. So now this wavelength is in the UV range. So they are asking which cuvette should we use. Now what happens if you have a sample for which you have to use the wavelength at a wavelength in the UV range to take the absorbance, to measure the absorbance. You have to make sure that whatever wavelength of light you are passing through the sample and whatever absorbance you are recording, that absorbance should be the value, the amount of light absorbed by the sample. So there should not be any loss of the light in case it is absorbed by the container or the cuvette or the cell you are using to keep the sample inside the instrument. So if you have a cell or a cuvette in which you have the sample and you are passing a light of wavelength in the UV range, you have to make sure that light is not absorbed by the cuvette itself. The light is only absorbed by the sample so that you can get a correct reading. Okay, so now the option number A is glass, option number B is plastic, option number C is quartz. Among all three of these substances, only quartz is the material that do not absorb UV. So the correct answer is quartz, because both glass and plastic can absorb the wavelengths in the UV range, so they are not used. Okay, so this was the last question. I hope there's no doubt in any of the questions. So we'll end this session now. Thank you.